Greetings, students, and welcome to another fun-filled day here at Horror in the Halls. What's up, kids, and welcome to Horror in the Halls. I'm Bob, aka Mr. Holland.
And I'm Jenny, aka Mrs. Hill.
And we're just two high school teachers talking about the spooky stuff we love. March is Horror Hijinks Month here in the halls, where we're going to celebrate all things horror comedy. And in this week's lesson, our luck just ran out, legitimately, as we discussed 1993's Leprechaun.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's all I got to say about this movie.
This is a big sigh for me.
It's like a cartoon. Lisa.
It's not my favorite.
No.
Not even close.
Let's get to the deets and then we can talk all about it. So yeah, Leprechaun 1993, released in January of 93. Runtime whole 92 minutes and I'll never get back.
No, it felt like it was so much longer too.
It was written and directed by Mark Jones. It was his directorial debut, I guess, his first feature film.
That's unfortunate.
He's done some other things. Like I said, he directed another movie about a fairy tale short person. He did Rumpelstiltskin, something called Quiet Kill, Triloquist, and Scorned. I've only ever heard of Leprechaun out of all those. He did Leprechaun 1 and 2, but he only directed the first one. It was distributed by Trimark, which was a huge production company in the 90s for this type of film, and they'll become important later as to why I even brought them up. Cinematography was by Levi Isaacs, and he's done some pretty cool things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, which is like my all-time most hated Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. It's freaking terrible. It's the one with Matthew McConaughey in it. And
okay.
What's the girl's name? Crap. She was in
Jessica Biel.
No, she's in Bridget Jones' Diary. Who is that?
Oh, I can't remember it. Zellweger.
Yeah, Renee Zellweger or something like that.
There you go.
She's in it too. Horrid. It's not good. People love it. I don't
I'm gonna say
understand why.
the Jessica Biel one was good. Is that not the same one?
No, it's later on. These are like one of the early ones.
Oh,
it's
okay,
the fourth one. It's back in the day. He also did The Dentist, which I love. The Dentist, Maniac Cop, The Giver, which I also liked because it was like weird sci-fi horror in the 80s. We may have to, or 90s. We'll have to do that one later. And then Children of the Corn 2. Ugh. I know none of those movies are good either.
Yeah, they're so bad.
It kind of some of these movies kind of gives you like a good lens into his eye with the camera. So it kind of, I understand. I can see it now that I know it was him who did this movie. Let's see. Special effects by Gabriel Bartalos. I probably said that wrong. Sorry. And I'll get more into him in a minute. The strange thing was, though, and I think this is because of Jennifer Aniston alone, the budget was only $1 million, as you can tell from the quality of this film. But the box office was 8.6, so it made money.
Dang.
And that explains why there's 8 of them in the franchise.
Yes, that's so many.
My man has been to Hood and space. He went to the Hood twice. Ridiculous.
I need to watch that one.
Oh, it's terrible. He says his one-liners in that are hilarious. Like he's like, "Ooh, a friend with weeds, a friend indeed," and he's just like,
"Oh my gosh, I love that so much."
He's just ridiculous. 27% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 32 audience score. That's it, which is, I think that's generous. It's generous,
right?
2.4 on Letterboxd, and as you know, Jenny was telling me before we started, there were some people, you know who you are, who gave this movie a 5 out of 5. And I'm just like, were you drunk when you reviewed this movie, or
yes, probably
on drugs? Like what?
Oh no!
I think 2.4 is right on the money for this film.
It's like a 1 out of 5 for me, dog.
100%. I mean, the plot.
I can't do this movie at all. It's terrible.
So I'm gonna give you the plot real quick because you could tell it was the most 90s movie ever. A horrific leprechaun goes on a rampage after his precious bag of gold coins is stolen. Uses all of his magical destructive powers to trick, terrorize, and kill anyone who was unlucky enough to hinder his relentless search. Wow.
Oh my God. Which is not it's not true all the way through. So I'm going to have to explain that later. Because he does go after people that did not have anything to do with.
He just kills whoever.
I know,
doesn't make
right?
any sense. Yeah, it's like,
it doesn't make sense.
You looked at me. You're gonna die. That's all. So I will say the saving grace of this movie for me is that it has Warwick Davis in it. and I super love Warwick Davis.
Oh yeah,
Like
he's great.
one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. I wanted to ask if I could hold him like a baby, and Aaron told me that would be insensitive, and I better not.
Yeah, let's not do that.
But I was like, I don't want to be like, hey, you're a baby. Can I just, I just wanted to hold Warwick Davis because I love him. I mean, I
You
love
just want to
him.
pick him up and give
Seriously,
him
I
a
really do.
squeeze.
Can I just give you a hug? Let's give you a little squeezeums. Because Willow, let's see, I was 6 when Willow came out,
Oh
so like
my
I
gosh, I
watched that
love
at a
Willow.
super impressionable time, like for me and like early things I liked. And Willow is one of my favorite all time movies. It is
Yeah,
not
it's really
great,
good.
but I love it the most ever. Of course, also starring Jennifer Aniston in her first film role ever as Toy Redding, which is funny. I'll come back to that later with my fun facts about how she treats this movie. Ken Ollent, I can't say his last name, as Nathan Murphy. Mark Holton as Ozzie Jones, who was also, Francis from Pee Wee Herman, which is great. I was like,
I
ooh,
know I
didn't even
mentioned
Pee
that
Wee.
last night when I
Yeah.
watched this again, and Johnny was like, he was in Pee Wee. I said, yeah, Pee Wee's
Yeah.
Big Adventure.
Yeah, he stole his bike, man. He's a jerk.
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely a jerk.
You got Robert High Gorman as Alex Murphy, which I liked him. Yeah, David Permeter as Deputy Trippett. William Newman as Sheriff Roy Cronin. He says his name 15 times, so you know. Shay Duffin as Dan O'Grady. Pamela Mant as Miss O'Grady. John Standiford as J.D. Redding, and John Volkstad as Joe. I guess he's the coin guy who gets pogoed to death, which is
Oh my god, it's so stupid.
the best. You shut up. It's the best.
It's so dumb.
Oh my god. So there's the deets on this one. Yeah, Mark Jones, he was like a big TV guy and he really wanted to make a film, and he thought the best way or his best opportunity to be successful was to make a low budget horror film, like to kind of cut his teeth on,
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because I think Trimark didn't want him to do this movie. They apparently even offered him money to step down, but he was like, "No,
What?
I'm doing it."
I don't know.
Yeah, and he was surprised there were no horror films dedicated to a leprechaun. I'm like, because nobody ever would have considered making a leprechaun a horror icon until this guy.
Right.
But he did. And it is, I mean, say what you want about the quality of the film. It is one of the big series as people bring up when you hear about
Yeah.
like horror franchises.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how many of them I've watched. I think I've only watched 2, but I barely remembered the first one. So when I watched it again, I was like, yeah, I don't remember any of this. I watched it a long time ago though. I mean, I was little.
I probably purged the nonsense from my brain. I mean, I was 11 when this came out, and I can almost guarantee I watched it when I was 11 because my mom was about that life. But yeah, they do. Like, there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's 8 of them. So it goes Leprechaun 1, 2, and 3, and then he goes to space.
It's so
Because
stupid.
why not? Jason went to space. Let's go to space. And then he comes back
Oh
and
no.
does In the Hood, which we should have just done that one. Leprechaun in the Hood is my favorite because Ice-T is in that movie as
Yeah,
like
we
this
should have done that
gang
one.
member, and I'm like, what? You know what? And guess what? We didn't cover that movie, but Ice-T's character's name in that movie is Mac Daddy Onassis.
Oh no. Oh my goodness. Can't
Yeah,
even.
yeah, yeah. It's ridiculous. It's a super ridiculous movie. But yeah.
I feel like all of them are probably super ridiculous
Oh,
because the first one
100%.
was.
I haven't seen the 2 new ones. I've seen all of them up to Back to the Hood. I haven't seen Origins and Leprechaun Returns from 2014 and 2018 because there's just no way. There's no possible way those were going to be good. It's just I don't think there's no way. I've seen all the ones that have Warwick Davis in them essentially. I don't care
Okay.
about it after if Warwick Davis is not in it, I'm not trying to watch that.
Yeah, he did a good job as the leprechaun. I mean, to be
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous.
And let's see, the one Origins was actually done by WWE. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
Come on, anything they've ever done is hot crap. So we're good. But yeah, loved it. Leprechaun 2 is probably my favorite of all of them. But if you're gonna start, you got to start with the original.
Well, I'm glad I did because I couldn't remember the first one at all. And I know I've seen it because I remember watching it with my cousins, but I totally blocked it out or I just didn't remember it.
Yeah, this is one of
So,
my brother's favorites. This and Child's Play. He loved these kind of movies.
yeah, there's, I don't know, ridiculous, but okay.
Yeah, oh, they're beyond ridiculous. They don't even.
Yeah.
don't even, you
I
can't
mean,
even
it's fine.
touch
I
it.
like some ridiculous stuff too, so
Yeah. No, like Mark Jones, like you can really tell he was a big TV writer. Like he wrote stuff for like the A Team, a bunch of the different Scooby Doo stories, which you can definitely see those influences on this. He wrote a lot of
yeah.
the Scooby Doo spin-offs, like the Laugh Olympics. He did like the Plastic Man comedy
That
adventures,
makes
Scooby
a
Doo
lot
and
of
Scrappy Doo.
sense because there's a part at the end where the leprechaun runs through a fence. Or not
Yeah,
runs it. He like
roller
is
skates through that fence.
propelled through the fence and it's his
Yeah.
whole like outline of his body. I was like, and I made a note that it was like cartoon style
Well, yeah,
silhouette
because this
through
dude's
the
like,
fence.
some of his earliest writing credits are cartoons. Like he did,
Makes
let's
sense.
see, Arc 2, which was a science fiction show back in the 70s. Then he did a live action animation show called The Skatebirds. He did a lot of Hanna-Barbera work because then he did Captive Caveman, the all new Super Friends Hour, What's New Mr. Magoo, Scooby Laugh Olympics, Yogi Space Race,
Oh
Popeye
my goodness.
stuff, Dinky Dog, Plastic Man. He did a lot of like those kind of Hanna-Barbera-esque cartoons, and you see a lot of the influence in this. And apparently there was a lot of things that Trimark made him cut out. Like there was like one scene where Leprechaun gets run over by a car and has like the tire tracks over his body, like it's a super huge cartoon. But they're like, nah, man, that's too cartoony.
Yeah, but the silhouette through the fence
Yeah, I know,
was
which is great.
cartoony.
You know, the fun fact about that is that apparently Warwick Davis is a legitimate speed skater, and those are his skates, and he did that stunt himself.
That's crazy.
And he said that like it was really hard to drive on the road because it was so bumpy and it messed his little skates up. And then that part there at the end is gravel, so he had to run through it and jump through the pre-made hole in the fence.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
But he did it himself because he is Warwick Davis.
He's a G.
He's a J. But yeah, there's a lot of conflicts between the production people on set and the distribution company of Trimark because they wanted to make a horror movie with a bunch of gore, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Trimark wanted something like Critters or Gremlins. So that's why there's a weird horror comedy mashup because that's not what their originally
Yeah,
intended
that
was.
makes sense. It really has that kind of feel to it now that you say that.
'Cause I think he wanted to do like a straight up horror film, like, because he wanted to get into directing. And at the time, everyone was making horror movies. So there were like no budget movies, you know what I mean? And then that's what he wanted to do.
All right, man. I will say my first comment on this entire thing is the amount of nursery rhymes that he uses
I know,
throughout
right?
the whole movie. And I was like, I was trying to like catch them all. I think I caught most of them, but I was like, man, that made the music part because he kind of sang the nursery rhymes,
Yeah, he
I was
sings all the
like,
time, which is funny.
yeah. And I'm like, man, that's probably my favorite part of this whole movie is him singing those.
I do like
So
those. He sings those a lot, and all of his little limericks. Like he like that he starts off with like "Try as they will, try as they might. Who steals me gold won't live through the night." He's all these little limericks he's singing all the time,
yeah.
and it just kind of like fits into that like leprechaun mythology, of like the kind of
Mm-hmm.
jovial creature. But then this dude is not jovial at all.
No,
Not at all.
he's psychotic.
Yes.
He's like super happy to kill you.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh yes.
No one steals a leprechaun's
Uh,
gold. Yank it, you're dead. I'm like, okay.
his 100 gold pieces.
That he's
Oh
changing
my
his soul
gosh.
for.
I was I didn't mention this last night while I watched it with Johnny, but he mentioned it this morning. But he said, "Man, it had a of mice and men feel to it." I said, "That's what I thought because of Lenny and the
Yeah, because of Ozzy.
yes." Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I was like, "Dang it, that's unfortunate." I kept
Yes, it
thinking
was.
Ozzy was gonna die because I couldn't remember it. Right.
I know he's like the one that
Oh.
has like the strongest character arc. Like some people's characters, and we'll get into this a little bit later. They're flat the whole time.
Yeah, like Nathan and
Mm.
Tori.
Oh, dude, he was lame. Tori, the main character was
God,
flat the whole time.
yeah, I know, right?
Like the whole
I love
intro of
me
this
some
is kind of
Ozzy.
he's funny. Him and Alex are the
Yeah.
best. The intro is silly. You have the most like stereotypical Irish guy getting out of the car,
Yeah.
chugging Jameson like a champ, just hammered. Like, oh, we're rich. Like, ha, ha, ha. Okay. It's one of those you can take the WT out of the person or take the kid out of the trailer park, but you can't take the trailer park out of the kid. Like you just got off out of that car chugging
Uh,
Jameson. I got a limo. Woo! Like what? Okay.
We're gonna go look at mansions tomorrow. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Because
No.
I got 100 gold pieces.
She's like, what are you going on about? I'm like, I know, right? He's stupid.
Yeah, and
Oh my
really, if you think
gosh.
about it, like when that dude told him, like when they took the one coin to Joe later, I mean, he's only getting like $50,000. Like, because I doubt that old man's gonna sell those, because he told him that gold was worth about $500 a piece.
Mhm.
He said, but if it's got that, historical value, but I feel like that old dude is like a pawn shop kind of person. He ain't trying to get historical value. He's trying to get just cash. You're only getting
Yeah.
$500,000. Not even that. You're only getting like $50,000, my friend. And really, if the price of gold wasn't that high, then he ain't getting nothing. So it's
Right.
like you died for like not a mansion. You're barely getting out of that shack you live in, especially in LA
Yeah, and
County in the 90s.
I was like, why did they not just set this movie in Ireland? Because you started off with Irish lore, and then you have freaking an Irish couple, but they're just smack dab in the middle of America. So
Yeah, man, they're all
I'm
about
like, what?
the American dream.
Well, I guess, but it didn't have that feel to it. I'm like, what? What is happening? Did that leprechaun like follow them along, or like what happened? Like, why is it there?
Yeah, well, he comments that he went home for his mom's funeral. So Mr. O'Grady went to Ireland for his mother's funeral and was
Okay,
coming home.
that's what happened. Okay, I
Yeah,
missed that. Yeah,
because when he
Johnny
said,
said
"Did
that
you
this
get my
morning, and I still
package?"
went over that.
and she was like, "I didn't want your mom's ashes on our house. I left them on the porch," which was kind of cold blooded too. I liked it a little bit. Miss O'Grady was like, "I don't want that crap in my house." And then he was like, "It's not me,
The
mom's
crap in my
ashes."
house.
Yeah, she's like, "I left them on
Oh
the
my
porch. I know what
god.
it was." And he was all like, "It's not
So
me,
that
mom's
makes more sense
ashes.
then. Okay.
I found gold from a leprechaun." And she's like, "You're out of your mind, dude. Quit drinking Jameson all the time."
That's oh my gosh. The
Quit being a
mimicry was
stereotypical.
good too.
It was creepy, man. That
All the
first time, the creepy ass kid voice, like, "I can't breathe in here. Let me out."
Yeah,
Not
he
even the
was doing
fact that,
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
yeah, I don't wanna be like, "Hey, that suitcase is not big enough for, like, a small child. Who do you think's in there? I can't breathe in here.
Right?
Help me." Like, your husband brought home
Let
a
me
whole kid and
out.
you just didn't know about it? "I stole this kid from Ireland. Got a new son, honey." Ridiculous.
Oh, no. Yeah, and then she opens it and his little eyeballs, like, were, like,
Yeah,
glowing. I'm like, "Oh my god." He
like a
jumps out.
creature. Bah,
I
which is
know,
funny.
right? It is funny.
This whole
It's
I don't
all
know. Apparently, Warwick Davis loved this character, like, loved it.
well, yeah, it's a funny character for sure, and
Oh, and
he
it was
usually
against what he was normally cast as. He wanted to play a villain.
yeah, well, he definitely was a villain.
Yeah, it's
Oh
ridiculous.
my gosh. He's a little bit creepy, just saying. The voice mimicry and just how happy he is just to kill everybody in like creative
Mhm.
ways, but whatever.
Yeah, his
He doesn't
voice in
care.
this is great too. It's different than how he actually talks, which is cool. Like, I
Mhm.
wanted my brother to be on today so we could tell the story, but I'm just going to tell it. Like, the first time he met Warwick Davis, he was telling him how he was afraid of this movie when he was a kid, and apparently Warwick Davis transitioned like mid sentence into the Leprechaun voice, and then started only talking to him in the Leprechaun voice after that point. He said it was cool and creepy at the same time. Because he was just like,
Oh
"Ah,
no.
yes." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Because he was like legitimately afraid of these movies when we were little. Because heck, I mean, I was
Uh,
11. He was probably 7 maybe when we watched this the first time. My mom was like, "It's fine. There's no boobs in here. Okay." Like, yeah, people were just getting pogoed to death, or their face all clawed up and neck broken.
Yeah, I was young when I watched it, but I don't remember being scared of it because there's other movies like I legitimately remember being scared of, and this one I wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd be scared of this. It's silly.
Well, I mean,
I'd be like, "Get away from me, dude. What are you doing?" And there's like so many just things that make no sense in this whole film. Like, you got this young girl showing up with her dad, complaining about him being a redneck or something, and then you get to this like super dilapidated house.
that's been painted. I don't know why this bothered me so bad, but I was like, why would you paint a house blue and the shutters red?
Well, yeah, we said the same thing. Well, because
What are we
apparently
doing?
the director wanted bright cartoony colors.
Oh my god.
That's
Okay,
why, like,
it's fine.
she
I
has
guess.
all those little pants with the weird colorful patches, and Nathan's shirt is purple. It's
Her
all
LA
these little,
gears.
yeah. Well, their shoes are important too. I'll get to that in a second.
Oh gosh. Okay.
That was a choice for real. Everyone was picked to like stand out against the backdrop. That's why like Alex has the yellow and red stripes, and it's like bold, bright things that stand out to you. Yeah, well, my color aside, my biggest problem was like, why are you painting a shutter that's barely hanging on?
Right.
Why don't y'all fix the shutter first and then paint it? Because like they were
Why is the whole
painting.
house just a mess?
I know, because these painters are bumbling idiots. Like, he's teaching her how to paint or whatever. The same day he met her after she basically called you a yokel, but whatever. And she's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm a natural painter." But they've already painted the other shutter all the way red, and it's hanging off the house.
I mean,
What?
let's talk about the fact that the name of their company is called Three Guys That Paint.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Their dad said, "Who is the cheapest painter in this area?"
oh my god.
It's not even three
Johnny
guys.
goes,
It's like two
I
dudes
need
and a
to
kid.
Johnny goes, I need to splatter thin set all over my truck and just put one guy that does tile
Heck yeah.
on his truck. I said, shut up.
It's written in crayon. One guy that does tile.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
it
Production company was
is.
like, "Hey man, they need a sign. Let's just slap some nonsense on the side
Three
of this
guys that
nice
paint.
truck, this
That's
decent
so
truck that we
funny.
just ruined with actual paint everywhere."
Paint and three guys that paint. I love it.
It was so
I was like,
stupid,
that is so dumb.
super dumb. And then freaking Mark Holton here, Ozzy Jones gets the paint dropped on him, and he's like, "Oh, what do I do?" And you're in the middle of painting the brightest blue ever on a
I
house.
know, right? It's like baby blue and like just fire engine red. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the hell is these colors? I don't
it's
understand.
terrible. Obviously, her dad
Oh,
is a hillbilly with no taste because it was
right?
horrible.
Oh
Yeah,
my
this movie, the
gosh.
whole movie is just ridiculous.
Yes, yes, it is.
Because you got that scene where like she's standing at the truck and like she thinks this dude that she just met is under the truck caressing her leg. What?
Yeah, right.
Why would that even make sense? I thought you were flirting
Yeah,
with
and he
me.
just walked into the house. What did you think he did?
Yeah, like he just ran around the building real fast to get under that truck to rub your leg. It was dumb. It made no sense. And
It
then she gets
didn't.
all clawed up, and they're like, "Oh no, you'll be okay." And then the dad's like, "It's a cat. He's dangerous. Let me get it." You look at your hand. That is obviously a person's mouth. Like,
That's what I said. I said that is not a cat bite.
no,
Their
you
mouths are
got teeth
tiny.
marks, bro, in your hand. Like, oh, I gotta go to the hospital. A cat bit me. What?
That's a large cat bite.
What, you got a
Like,
mountain
why
lion in
would you?
there?
Yeah, like why would you reach into that anyway? I'm like,
Yeah,
and then the little camera shot with the leprechaun's like, like at the
yeah. His little
end. I'm
face
like, I was like, oh
weird, dude.
no.
Is
His
weird.
little mimicry is just the worst and the greatest at
I
the
mean,
same time.
he's the only, I think, good character in this whole movie because he's the only one that has any development at all, pretty much. But he's still ridiculous. It's one-liners and goofy nonsense.
Yeah,
Like that's
but
pretty
that's
much
what
the
he's supposed to
whole
be.
premise of this movie. How many goofy
It is.
one-liners can you be a tiny Freddy Krueger and just say nonsense?
Yeah, I know. I wish I had written down some of his one-liners, but I really didn't. I was more focused on getting all the different nursery rhymes he used. But yeah, he uses a lot. He's even like talking shit at the end after he's
Oh
been
yeah.
like effed all the way up. I mean, he's like all like
Oh, he's super
but
jacked up. He's like, ha, what?
yeah, I know, right? Stupid. Anyway, well, let me see. I really liked Ozzy's character though. I think I felt sorry for him because it like Johnny said, it had a really like big comparison to of Mice and Men, and I really liked Lenny. So that's why I kind of like cuz I couldn't remember the movies at all and I was like I wonder if he dies at the end. Like he did swallow a coin like a dum dum.
I mean, that
I'm
shouldn't
like,
kill you
great.
though.
Huh?
That shouldn't kill you.
No,
Is it?
I'm saying like the leprechaun found out about the coin getting swallowed. Like that's gonna kill you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He foreshadows that. He's like, I was like, man, maybe he does die and I just don't remember. But I was wrong.
Yep. 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 Yep.
I'm like, who in the hell swallows a gold coin at that age? Like,
I
what are
mean,
you doing?
obviously they wanted to get his brain fixed. So
I know that is so depressing. They were like, he was like, it's okay. He was like, I just want to help you because people make fun of you. He goes, people make fun of me. He goes, well, not to your face. I
yeah,
was like,
behind your
oh my
back.
gosh, just behind your back. Like,
Yeah.
great. He was like, oh,
Okay.
it's terrible.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was probably yeah. Apparently they wanted all that removed because they thought it was insensitive to people who are actually mentally handicapped. But I think the director left it in on purpose to make you
Well,
feel like sympathy for the character. I guess it worked
yeah.
because you're like, oh, I love that character. He reminds me of Lenny.
I mean, dead up like Lenny
But
for
yeah,
real.
it's probably the inspiration. I
Probably.
feel like this was Scooby Doo meets the Mice and Men with a leprechaun.
It's terrible.
The one thing they
Scooby Doo.
didn't do at the end was pull the mask off a tiny person's face. It was you. It was Farmer Johnson the whole time. If they had a dog, you'd have had the whole Scooby in the gang.
Right. They
Ozzy's kind of like Shaggy. Just do.
yeah, he's definitely a to do. That's not
Well, they're all a
I
little
couldn't
dude.
I don't know. There are so many ridiculous parts of this movie and I can't even pick one that I want to talk about for real.
There's a lot. There are some interesting things though that came from this film. like apparently there were 2 special thanks in the credits, and one was to George Lucas because Warwick Davis was under contract to him still, but he gave him permission to be in the movie.
Okay.
The other one was Vice President Dan Quayle because he sped up the working visa for Warwick Davis because Warwick Davis is English, so he like needed
Okay.
a visa back then to work here, and Dan Quayle pushed it through.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, which I think is interesting. They got special thanks. And then apparently Warwick Davis originally regretted doing this movie because like it was one of those things where they thought there was no way he would be in this film. Like they wanted Warwick Davis, but it was like because they originally shot this in 1991, so it was right after Willow. He was just everybody thought he was too big of an actor, but they sent him the script anyway, and he read it, and he apparently was interested in playing a villain.
Okay.
But it horribly flopped. Like not well at all. It wasn't until Friends came out and blew up that people really started to like rent this movie because Jennifer Aniston was in it.
Yeah, and she's terrible.
Oh, she's trash. She's not a good actress even
No,
now.
she's really not. It's kind of she's bleh.
Yeah, she was just kind of pretty in the 90s.
So what's with the LA Gears? You said that there was something with that.
Well, no, apparently they chose because all the shots, which I kind of liked of from the Leprechaun's perspective and him being like obsessed with shoes. They wanted to pick shoes for each character that fit their personality.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's why
sense.
like the kid is wearing those Shaq Pump Reeboks that were huge in the 90s. You know, the older guys are wearing boots. She's got her LA Gears on because she's from LA and she's all about money and like those kind of things. They were all kind of indicative of their character.
It makes me laugh that was how they kind of trapped him a little bit so she could get away to get to the nursing home to talk to Danny.
Ridiculous.
And I was like, they started throwing shoes at him and he's like picking them up real quick. He's like, huh, and like, it's like cleaning them off and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous.
Except for he's cleaning them off and then throwing them right back in the dirt.
I know. So
what?
Funny.
It's like the whole throwing rice in front of a vampire thing. You're just like, that what? What? Huh? What are you talking about?
That's so funny.
They basically wanted to focus on Leprechaun's point of view and to show their personality. So, and how he was obsessed with shoes.
Yes, he was definitely like that was scene where he like gets them all out and he's like, yeah. And he starts like polishing them and cleaning them up and he's all happy. He's like, I'm like, what? He's
a cobbler by trade, man.
I know. Oh my gosh. I mentioned the Leprechaun's laugh too. I loved it. He did his character was really funny. Like I did laugh at him a lot, but the other characters, I'm like, God, y'all are just the worst.
He's the only person that brings this movie any validity, man. But he was given free reign on playing the character. So, like, essentially, it was like, hey, you're an evil leprechaun, go. Because, I mean, at the time, think about it, he'd been in so many, like, major productions, even at that time, because he's in, like, the Star Wars films, and he's in Willow, and he's in all these little sci-fi things, and he was kind of a big deal in the late 80s. So, and he was their big ass, you know what I mean? He was the one, he's the marquee name. So they were like, well, you do what you want to do. I mean, no one else in this movie was even known. Like, the director had to fight to get Jennifer Aniston even in it. They were like, no, we want like a blonde valley girl. We don't want this girl. He's like, no, trust me, she'll be great. And then who are the other people? You know what I mean? The one dude was in a Pee-wee movie. I think the boy was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh, love that movie. He is in that.
Yeah. And that's like really, that's all they had at the time. So there was no big name. Like Warwick Davis was the big name, which in 90s horror, all you needed was one. If you got one person, people knew their name, you slap it real big on the front of that VHS box at the Blockbuster, it's getting rented. And that's what they did later on. They added her face to it.
Like, oh no, that's so funny. Like, it's just her. She's like, takes up the whole thing. And he's just like kind of at the bottom. Is he at the bottom or does it just say Leprechaun?
I think he's in the corner. It's her up in the top and the top left, and he's kind of at the bottom right. But she's a big half of it. Well, I think it's because, like I said, after Friends came out, the rentals on this movie like quadrupled, which is really funny because apparently Jennifer Aniston and Warwick Davis got along really well off camera and on set. Like they, he was talking to her. They had like, that's her first movie role. So he was really helping her.
Yeah.
But then apparently after she got like famous, she either talks crap about the movie or denies that she was even in it all the time. And apparently Warwick Davis will like usually respond to her, like when he'll make a response. And apparently at one time on TV, like live TV, he said that her annoyance was seeing the movie and seeing herself without so many facial surgeries and rhinoplasty.
Whoa.
Yeah, I said you hit her.
That's hateful.
Because she's apparently either says she would never, I never did that movie, or like talks crap about it. Like she even said one time, the first time she watched
I've never done something when your face
is
like
box.
on the box, and you're like the main character other than the freaking
I
leprechaun.
think she's just
Like,
embarrassed
shut your
that
mouth.
you were in a horror film and that you were so bad in it. But again, I'm the person, and hate me if you will, I think Friends is like the worst TV show ever. It's not funny. All the characters are crap, and I hate all of them. I'm just like, I hate this show. I dated a girl one time. I was like, you'll like Friends, just really watch it. Nope, Friends sucks. Jennifer Aniston
I like parts
sucks.
of Friends. I like
I also hate Seinfeld. So
I don't like Seinfeld at all, but
yeah.
I do like Friends. I just don't. It's not like I'm gonna go back and rewatch it or anything. So, but
I
there's
know.
like parts of it that I think are hilarious.
Like Whitney was telling me I should rewatch it. You should watch it now with your daughter. I was like, I will still hate Friends, and I did not raise people who would like Friends. So we're moving on. Nothing against you if you do like Friends. I mean, everybody's tastes are their own. I personally I couldn't stand it. I was like, God, this show is stupid. Like I hated all the dudes, and the girls are annoying because not many of them can act.
I
Courtney Cox
mean,
is great, and Lisa Kudrow is actually great too. Off of Friends, I just don't like Jennifer Aniston in anything.
you just don't like Phoebe. I
Oh
love Phoebe.
no, that's Lisa Kudrow.
I know.
I don't like Phoebe for stupid reasons because everyone assumes that my daughter's name is from Friends when it's from the Monster Squad, and I'm like, get your shit right. I don't watch Friends. I named her from the Monster Squad. She's Phoebe the Phoebe. Watch yourself. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that would not be a compliment if you named your daughter after Phoebe from Friends, because
No,
Phoebe's kind of a
she's
dingbat.
neurotic and annoying. Yeah, dude, like shut up. Stupid. No, not at all. But no, there's so many
Oh,
hilarious things in this movie that I do like Warwick Davis for. Like he insisted that the Leprechaun wear those like traditional platform Irish shoes.
yeah,
He had to have
the
them.
big
He
buckles on it.
insisted, and then it made him walk all weird. So it changed the gait and everything. He had to learn how to walk in those platforms, because he already kind of walks with his
Yeah.
legs out. But yeah, he insisted on it. He was real into this character, and he really is like he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. Like we met him at Star Wars Celebration, but then we got to see him like riding through downtown Chicago on a tiny Segway with his son, like pointing out landmarks and talking about architecture. Me and my buddy were outside just chilling, and I was like, "Dude, there's Warwick Davis right there." And he was wearing an Ewok hat, and he was just riding around with his little
Oh
Segway,
my gosh,
pointing out statues to his son. And I was like,
that is
"It's pretty
great.
cool. It's pretty cool, Warwick Davis. I love you a little bit."
Oh no, I love it.
Yeah.
So all the little play on like Lucky Charms cereal kept popping up throughout the whole movie, and I'm like, why is this even? I kept making note of it, and like he even it eats like some of the Lucky Charms, and he spits it out, and I'm like, that's because it's gross. I don't know. That's why that was so funny to me.
I think probably because
That was another probably thing he just did too. We need a
yeah, and
box of
that's
Lucky Charms.
one of the rumors about the film set is that it originally was Lucky Charms, but the company that owns it, I think it's General Mills, maybe I can't remember who has for Lucky Charms, were mad that he spits it out, so they had to change it. And in an interview, he was like, "Dude, it was never Lucky Charms. It was always meant to be like a generic country store version of Lucky Charms." So like the people like one of the rumors was that it originally was, and they were mad and made him change it. And he was like, "No, that was never the case." But I'm like, if you notice in a lot of movies, they hardly ever use name brand stuff because the name brand people will say no or they want you to give them money for it. So it's
Yeah.
always knockoffs. Like a lot of times you'll see things that are obviously a Pepsi can, but it says something else, or the word Pepsi's removed, or it's obviously a Coke can with no words on it. You're like, we know what you did there. It's a red and white can. We know what that is. But yeah, so it's like one of those things I thought was kind of funny. But I like all the nods to that, all the goofy little leprechaun lore, and like how
Mhm.
apparently the director is the one that came up with the four-leaf clover will be the only thing that can kill him, and was sad that
Right.
they
Oh my
never used it
gosh.
again. Oh, it was dumb because early on he's like, "Get it away from me," and then the next time they show him to him, he's just like, "Whatever," and pushes past her and starts chasing Ozzy down. Like it didn't even notice she had one.
Right. It was so
He's like,
stupid.
"Whatever, this is dumb." And can we talk about how that stupid patch of clover is lit with a green light, like it's glowing, like it's magic grass?
Yeah,
What in the
and
world?
it wasn't like that the whole movie until
No, all
then.
of a sudden it's glowing. And because when she pulls up, I'm like, "Why is there a green light?" And then I'm like, "Oh my god, the grass is glowing." And then when she finds a four-leaf clover, it's like glowing gold in her hand.
Yeah, and Ozzy's trying to give her like a pep talk. He's like, "You just gotta believe,
Yeah.
Tori, just believe." And she's like, "Oh
I
no, it's so
believe.
bad."
Ha! And it's glowing. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so stupid.
It is so dumb.
I mean, like,
Oh
I guess
god.
it makes sense. It kind of ties into some other mythology around like St. Patrick's Day and whatnot. I guess I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I don't.
That reminds me, this movie should come out around St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day for those of you that are listening.
Oh yeah. Side note, during our humongous windstorm we had here, I lost my St. Patrick's Day flag, my garden flag.
Oh
and
no.
someone on my neighborhood page found it, and they were like, "Hey, somebody's missing this," and I was like, "Oh," and that my neighbor across the street who's, like, super nosy,
Yeah.
she was like, "That's my neighbor, she puts one out for every holiday." I'm like, "God damn it." Like, why am I this person? I'm like, "It's mine, I'll come get it." So ridiculous. So, I put it back up today, so there you go.
That is a little ridiculous. I'll never put those flags out.
You know what? It brings me joy, so
I always wanted to get a flagpole for my house and just put like a pirate flag on it just to see what
it's
people
not a
think.
flagpole, it's a garden
I
flag.
know, I've been to your house. I know what you're talking about.
It's little.
Little floppy flag in front of your house. Like, look at me,
Ye
holidays.
sh Shut up. I like decorative things.
Mhm. All right, man. Do you have anything else you want to add to this movie, or you want to get into the rating? Because I mean, I don't have a lot to say, and the things I want to say will be ripped apart during the rating scale.
I don't know. There's really nothing. I can't like there was like some really ridiculous things, but I don't know. I didn't love this movie.
I didn't
So
either. So let's jump into the rubric, and we'll see where it lands.
this is gonna be rough.
I know. That's what I told Erin too. I said this thing's not gonna do well. She was like,
It's not.
"No, it can't. It can't." Oh my gosh, it really can't. All right.
No.
So, man, literary element, the script, story, development, dialogue, and character development. Dude, there. Okay, so
No.
I like some of the story one-liner stuff, but you can tell it's ad-libbed. You talked about the weird use of like limericks and nursery rhymes. That's interesting. Like I said, the only character that gets any sort of development at all is the leprechaun.
He stays the same.
Yeah, but he doesn't. His makeup develops. That's it. This is like a 5 for me. This is a
Yeah,
horrible
it's low.
script. The dialogue is terrible. It makes
It
no sense
is.
at all. It's just not great.
It's not.
It's not great. Okay, so FX design element, so visual effects elements that connect to the narrative, set design, overall character design, gore, practical versus digital effects. Now this one I liked a little bit better, and I forgot to mention my roll call of death because we were so busy talking about how terrible this movie is. But this kind of
Yeah.
goes in with the effects. There's only 4 deaths in the whole film. Miss O'Grady gets pushed down the stairs in the most dramatic head over heels flip I've ever seen
Yeah.
for down some steps. Like that was like 10 stairs. You rolled like you were like you got punched by Mike Tyson. But anyway,
Like, you should have just, like, flopped all the way down and just
yeah,
have been bruised at the
not
bottom.
head over heels, nonsense.
Yeah.
Her neck is snapped. My favorite death ever is the coin guy Joe, who gets his chest stomped with 15 times with a pogo stick.
It's so dumb.
Which, another fun fact, really, it's only 2 hops, and they slowed it down and kept putting in repeated scenes because the stunt person who was doing that as the leprechaun couldn't get it to bounce more than twice.
Interesting.
So it's 2 hops in slow mo with a bunch of the same shot kicked back in and jumping around, a lot of cuts.
Okay.
The deputy is clawed in the face and has his neck broken, which was a added in scene. Originally, he's just clawed in the face, and then you don't see him again. But they wanted more gore, so that whole horribly boring wood chase scene where he's
Yes, and him,
teleporting through
like
trees,
yeah, and
stupid.
laughing.
So stupid. Like,
And the guy sits down. I'm like,
yeah.
"No."
Oh my god, it's over. Nope, neck broke.
He's like,
Stupid.
"Thank God, ha, ha, ha." And I'm like, "You're an idiot.
And
You
then
deserve to die at this
Mr.
point."
O'Grady, who's mauled and dies from blood loss. Those are the only 4 deaths in the whole movie, and they're
Yeah,
ridiculous.
everybody else gets, like, injured somehow.
Yeah, scratched or something stupid. The whole thing
Or a bear trap or whatever.
makes no sense. But I do like some of the like the prosthetic effects in this movie. You know, like Gabriel Bartalos, he did the makeup effects for all of it pretty much. And he wanted more of that grotesque. He did the leprechaun in 3 stages. Like he gets darker as it goes. You can see more green to his skin. Like as he gets more of his
Mhm.
like powers back, you see he gets more of that back to it, And apparently he did
There's
a
some he looks
4th version.
mossy at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, he does. He's all like, "Arr." But he starts to get more just scarier looking, right? He starts off more friendly and then gets nastier looking towards the end. And then, of course, you have that weird half skull nonsense at the very end, but whatever. It was still a cool effect. But I didn't hate like when his eyeball gets popped out and he pulls the other one out. That was kind of a cool scene. I didn't hate it. That was pretty interesting. I don't understand like the pogo scene, like why the purveyor of that shop had all the cuts on his face when all he did was bounce on your chest with a pogo. That didn't make any sense. So this one's kind of
Yeah.
low for me too. Like set design was fine, I guess. I mean, it was just an old ridiculous house for no reason. Ooh, going back to literary real fast. If Mr. O'Grady only had a stroke and you're in like that old folks home, but you know there's 100 gold pieces on your land, why are you not going back to get that 10 years later?
Right.
I thought he died. He's like, no, oh man, like you've lived in that home. You only had a stroke. Like, and it looked like he was able to tell her all about how to kill a leprechaun. Stupid.
Yeah, he's hanging upside down.
Yeah. I'm
What?
bleeding. You gotta get it with a 4-leaf clover. Which apparently, back to set design, they had to glue an extra leaf on that 4-leaf clover because they couldn't find one. So they actually took a 3-leaf one and glued another leaf to it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
made by the props department. All right, so what do you
Great.
think? Like a 10 on that one?
Sure.
I can't go to a 15. I do like some of the
No.
effects. I think like some of the stuff the Leprechaun does, and his makeup looks good. His hands look ridiculous, but his face looks good. His hands are rubber gloves, and you can tell because he can't use them very well.
Can you talk about the rainbow for a second?
Oh god, just that weird painted digital rainbow.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
bad. When they get to the truck with the coins, I was like, what the hell
It's
is
in the very
this?
beginning too. Like it's
I
shining down on
know.
him as he's counting his gold. You're just like, what?
It's not good.
What?
Oh
Yeah, I
no.
was very like, okay. And like the ridiculous giant spiders just walking around all the time. And then you want to get into the fact that like, there was one I didn't even talk about. Like one of my favorite effects, I forgot. The little tiny creepy hand coming out of the phone that was like totally
Oh
stolen
my
from Nightmare on Elm
gosh.
Street.
I did
Yeah.
say something about that in my notes.
But like just for
Oh
a
my
design
God.
production standpoint, there's no phone cable in that phone.
No.
Not even when it's on the wall. When she pulls it off, it's just hooked
No.
up there with no phone cable. So I'm like, why is it even ringing? What? And then
Yeah,
he's
it's
ringing the
stupid.
bike bell. Like, and the first time Ozzy has that tiny bell, and then Leprechaun plays that bell, you left that bike at Joe's little shop. Let's not even get into his stupid ass little go-kart that tumps over a whole entire pickup truck.
I know, with the little pitchfork at the
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
always riding some random little car too.
Everything with wheels he rides. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna give this a
You
10.
know, like the skateboard. The
Yeah.
skateboard scene was
Oh my god, that's
funny, where
funny.
he keeps like
Hey,
rolling. He's like, "Hey, hey,
wee.
hey."
Yeah.
Oh
Hey,
no.
hey. I'm just like, okay, yeah. So he rides, let's see, a tricycle, a go
Mhm.
kart, that Mad Max go kart, a
It
wheelchair,
sure is.
rollerblades or roller skates that are his, and then a skateboard. Everything with wheels.
He drives a little car too.
Yeah, I mentioned that. He has the little go kart, the little truck go kart.
No, there's one where he comes out of the barn, but there's another one.
Yeah, he steals it from Joe. It's that little truck one when he gets pulled over.
Yeah.
That's why he kills the cop for no reason. He was like, take your
Yeah,
mask off, buddy.
and then he, like, makeshifts a go-kart thing in the barn.
Yeah, it's like if Mad Max took place in Ireland and during the
Yeah, it's
Leprechaun Uprising.
so
Stupid.
stupid.
Super dumb.
It's so
It's like
stupid.
welded plates and a freaking pitchfork on
I
the
was like,
front, and he
it
flips
took
over a
him
whole
literally,
truck.
like, 2 minutes to do.
Yeah. Ha ha. I'm like, what?
I said, "How'd he
What?
do that?" I said, "Wait, he's magic, it's fine."
Yeah.
Oh
Super,
god.
super stupid.
It is super stupid.
So
Okay.
it has some okay elements. I'm thinking 10 for
It's
visual effects.
10. Yep, that's fine.
Okay, so the visual technical element is the overall aesthetic of the film is pleasing to the eye, lighting, creative camera shots, and movement and lens selection. The lighting is fucking stupid. Like, why are we green lighting patches of grass? I did like, however, the lower camera shots from the Leprechaun's perspective. I thought that was
Yeah.
kind of cool. How a lot of those shots are cut on people's lower halves, 'cause that's what he sees. And like the movement through the woods, it's kind of like that Evil Dead-esque like camera movement,
Yeah.
but it's like from a little person's perspective, which I kind of liked. So I will give him some props for that. The aesthetic is it just reads cheesy 90s horror movie. Like this is low
Yeah, it
budget,
does.
cheesy 90s. I'm surprised they had $1 million. That should have been like, oh, I
Right?
made this for $100. Most of it was spent on Warwick Davis, I
For
think.
$100.
Yeah, we made this movie for $100 and some pizza, dude. We made it. We got it. But yeah, no, it was not good. The lighting's ridiculous. I do give him. I like the camera shots just because I think it's interesting that he took from a kid's perspective. And like I said, that dude has done a bunch of stuff. Other horror movies mostly, but he did quite a few little things, some documentaries. So you can see he wasn't like the most experienced cinematographer, but you know, whatever. I like those scenes. I like some of the transitions, but a lot of that was editing. So I'd say another 10 for me, really.
Yeah, I'm agree with that too.
Because the rest of the lighting, the characters are not lit well. Warwick Davis' character usually is how his face starts in shadow. It has that very Nightmare on Elm Street first time you see Freddy vibe, where he's kind of all you just see his eyes, you know, and those are kind of cool shots.
Yeah.
Or the lighting when he's in that box and the lights coming through the little cracks. I liked all that, so that was all right. Otherwise, nah, dog.
Yeah, it's a 10.
Yeah. Sound element. The sound represents the overall tone of the film. The soundtrack, as well as the score, keeps the audience engaged with the setting, characters, location, and narrative of the piece.
I'm gonna say a 10 on this one.
Yeah, because there's some terrible music in this.
Okay, so I went down a rabbit hole trying to find this "Won't You Be My Four-Leaf Clover" song that it plays for
Oh, you mean that garbage fake country song when she's driving in?
Yeah,
Is that? It's not a real
and
song, is it?
it's not.
Yeah.
It's just made for this movie because you can only find it as the scene like online.
Yeah, it has to be. 'Cause it was horrid. I was like, what are they listening to?
It's so funny, but it transitioned from him having the four-leaf clover placed on the crate at the beginning into that when it's the montage of her, not montage, but like the entry of them coming into like the wooded area with the house and stuff.
I would say that shot probably cost them a bunch of their budget because in 91 that was a helicopter shot.
Yeah.
For
so
sure. Or crane.
That song was hilarious that they only did it for that movie and it was only that little snippet of song. And then all of his little nursery rhymes or like you said, limericks and stuff that he sings throughout the whole thing. But yeah, there's not really a big score to it or anything.
No.
It's mainly him singing.
And the sound effects are crap.
Yes, they are. I really liked his little singing stuff. So I can't give it a 15, but I can give it a 10.
Okay. You think I was gonna? I'd almost go with a 5.
You were gonna give it a 5?
Maybe because there's no real score, and that song is terrible.com.
Oh, I didn't say it was good. I just said it's funny that they made it just for this movie, and that's it. And it's not even a whole song.
I know that's probably where they should have
part
spent
of a song.
budget on actors and maybe some better effects and some lighting instead of goofy helicopter shots.
You mean they should have just they should have spent more money on all of it.
Yeah, you had $1 million. I think half of it went for a helicopter shot and part of a song that was stupid. Anyway, so there you go, guys. Big fail. 35%. You got to repeat the class, dude.
Repeat for sure. No ingenuity for you.
You can't even fix that. Like there's no credit recovery for that. You are a failure, sir. Yeah, this movie's not good, guys. Like it's classic. People love it, and I get it. You love it for nostalgia reasons. The movie is not good. If you watch it with a critical eye, it's just not good. Jennifer Aniston never should got cast in Friends based on this movie because she's garbage as an actress in this film. You're just like, what? I only eat watercress salads and Evian waters. Shut up.
I know, my gosh. And she was like, do you know what meatloaf is? It's cow. Like, I don't kill living things.
Yeah,
he's like, but you're wearing leather shoes.
Yeah. Got him. Get out of my face. Yeah, no. Like, so there you go, guys. It's a big old F, dog. 35.
It is.
God, it's bad.
It is bad.
But yeah, earned it. It earned its 35.
Yeah, fuck you, Lucky Charms. That's what he says at the very. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
Oh, goodness.
I knew it was going to score low. There was no way it wasn't.
No way at all. And I think like the score could have been so much better, but I think the guy wanted a creepy and mischievous tone, but you just let all that come from his little weird limericks. And it wasn't good. That and the sound effects are terrible. Like, I can't justify any of this score. And like I said, my luck ran out when I hit play. That was it. I was like, oh God, I forgot how terrible this movie was.
I thought this movie was way longer than it was. I was like, God, why is this movie still going? God. Johnny goes, I got tired watching it. I was like, right? Because
it sucks. It sucks. 92 minutes is long, dude. Like, it's longer than Tucker and Dale. Tucker and Dale's only 89 minutes. This movie's kind of long.
Yeah, and Tucker and Dale's like, feel like it's not long enough.
No.
Because it's so good.
I could have watched something else yesterday.
Right.
And it's 92 minutes. But thanks, Warwick Davis,
and
for
I had
always
to rent
being
it
yourself.
Because it's,
it was streaming on Spectrum. I didn't have to rent it, but it was edited.
Well, I don't have Spectrum.
Like, everybody died, but then every time there was like a cuss word, they bleeped it out. It was funny. I was like, what? He was like, hell, shit. But everything else was like, then it wasn't even a bleep. They just cut it out. So the character's like mouth moving, but nothing said. It was crap.
Oh my gosh. Whatever. That's
all right, guys. So there you have it. If you like the Leprechaun, I'm sorry. I'm sure my brother will be like, all right, you're great on this. I'm like, well, dude, you should have gone on the podcast, bro. You should have been here to defend your favorite film because it's crap. 35% is us being nice. I really should have given score 5 because the sound effects are trash, but I'll stick with the 10. I do like his little funny songs, so Warwick Davis saves it yet again.
Yeah, it was Warwick Davis that saved it.
His makeup saved it. His goofiness saved it. Even though his one-liners are terrible, I really think someone was like, "Hey, dude, pretend like you're Freddy Krueger, but Irish."
Yeah, no. But Irish.
Stupid. All right. Yeah, garbage. All right, dude. So let's now that that's over with, I think we have a special announcement for everybody, right?
We do have a special announcement.
And I sort of already announced it in my goofy, like, ridiculous way, but this will be our, like, legit.
Yeah, he doesn't like it, but I thought it was hilarious. But whatever.
I mean, it's funny.
It's fine.
Just don't judge me. I'm not really a redneck.
Don't judge me. Hey. So we now have a Patreon.
Yeah.
We would love any support that anyone would like to give us, because donations will go towards things like, an Audible subscription, the books that we review, movie rentals, just anything that can help us make the podcast better.
Heck yeah. And if you go over the top tier, you get to make suggestions on what we watch.
Right.
And you get a cool
and a
sticker. Yeah. Cool. The only way to get stickers of our show, if I don't hand them to you personally, will be to be at that level. So they will not be for sale when the merch drops, which will also be happening fairly soon. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. Our one fan who wants a hoodie. We're working on it. But yeah, guys, help us out. Like I said, Patreon is a good thing for us. It'll help us out with just production stuff, getting the books, getting the rentals, getting all the things that we want to keep going, and getting some more ridiculous movies like this that we can make fun of.
And we're just teachers, so teachers don't really make a lot of money, and
you get a behind the scenes view on how we talk about your kids' work. Like, oh my God, did you read that? Just terribleness. But yeah.
And then, like, if you're a top tier person, I think, or no, maybe it's like, no, I put it on every tier where you'll get special things every once in a while on, like, the Patreon page where it's just for you guys to see. Or sometimes if we do like a really terrible something that has to be like an outtake, we have a lot of those.
Yeah. You might get some unedited episodes, things like that, where I cut things out.
Like maybe my turtle extravaganza I had one day with my 2 turtles. We're trying to escape their tank. It was great.
Or I haven't had that issue since. And whatnot. So
and my cat in her litter box. In his litter box.
Get to know us a little bit more. I'm sitting here saying this as my dog nudges me. But yeah. So, it'd be cool if you did. If you don't, it's still fine. Listen, leave likes, reviews, and all that good stuff.
And that also helps. Any ratings would help put us up on top of a list of horror, podcasts.
Put us on the top because we're the best. We're better than those other guys. They're not cool. It's fine.
They're not as cool as us. You can't sit with us.
Yeah. The links to our Patreon will be in the show notes. Along with all of our other links that Jenny is about to tell you about.
Sure will. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Horror in the Halls. You can also follow Jenny_Dretfuls on Instagram, and you can email us at horrorinthehalls@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, guys, reach out. Also, a thing about Patreon that we did not mention is it's one of those special things. We'll be like a private community. So if you want to connect with us and talk and ask questions, or you want to debate one of our reviews, or say something ridiculous to us, that's a great place to do it. We'll keep in touch with those people regularly. Because it's 2023, we both have phones, so we can jump on there and talk to you and whatever. And yeah,
that's true.
If you want to make suggestions too, that's my favorite part. I want someone to get to that top tier and make something ridiculous I've never seen to do on the podcast. So
yeah, for real, because I have not watched some of these really ridiculous movies.
I know you haven't watched any of the ones for next month, and I'm excited about it. I'll let you guys know.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, jazz. It's gonna be fun. So all right, guys, there you go. There's our St. Patrick's Day obligatory Leprechaun episode, and that's gonna be the bell, guys. We're gonna get out of here. We'll see you next time.
Bye.